quadratic formula. In this video, we'll learn the quadratic formula, use the formula to solve quadratic equations, and simplify the resulting expression. This is the generalized form of a quadratic equation. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. If I solve that generalized form by completing the square, I end up with what's called the quadratic formula. It's a solution for x in terms of the constants a, b, and c that are the coefficients of the quadratic equation. You need to memorize this formula. Maybe not if this guy is sitting in front of you or your teacher allows a note card, but if you're going on to pre-calculus or calculus, you're going to be expected to know it. One way to learn it is by singing a little song to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. It goes like this. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, if I can sing that song on this video, you can sing it in the shower and learn the quadratic formula. We're going to solve the equation x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals 0 using the quadratic formula. But first I want to solve it by factoring so you can see we get the same answer either way. So x squared plus 2x minus 8 factors. It's x plus 4 and x minus 2. So we have two solutions. One is x plus 4 equals 0, and the other is x minus 2 equals 0. So either x equals negative 4 or x equals 2. Now let's see how the quadratic formula gives us those same two solutions. When we're using the quadratic formula, it's in terms of the coefficients of the original quadratic equation. So we need to identify what those are. The coefficient of the x squared term is called a, and in this case a is 1 because we don't see a coefficient there. The coefficient of the x term is called b, so b is positive 2. We capture the sign with the coefficient. And c is the constant term, so in this case c is negative 8. Since the formula is so complicated, I've made a template here for you to fill in, and it shows which coefficient needs to go in which spot. So the formula says negative b, and b is 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared, b is 2, minus 4 times a is 1, times c, negative 8. All over 2a, and a is 1. To finish the problem, we need to simplify this. So x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 8 is negative 4 times negative 8, or positive 32. And that's all over 2 times 1. 4 plus 32 is 36, so I have negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 36 over 2, and 36 is a perfect square. That's going to happen when the equation is factorable. So my two solutions are negative 2 plus or minus 6 divided by 2. Let's simplify each one. Negative 2 plus 6 is 4, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8, divided by 2 is negative 4. So those are the same two solutions we got by factoring. Factoring is easier than using the quadratic formula. So let's try using the formula on a quadratic equation that's not factorable. Let's try solving 9x squared minus 11 equals 6x using the quadratic formula. This isn't factorable, and it looks like trying to complete the square would be really difficult. So I'm going to first rearrange it in the right order so that I know what A, B, and C are. I need 0 on one side, so I'll start by subtracting 6x from each side. That gives me 9x squared minus 6x minus 11, and I can see that A is 9, B is negative 6, and C is negative 11. Let's plug those coefficients into the right spots in the quadratic formula. Notice that we only use the coefficients. There are no x's in the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is telling us what x is equal to. So B is negative 6, and A is 9, and C is negative 11. I filled it all in, and now I need to simplify. So I start with negative of negative 6. That gives me a positive 6. Plus or minus a square root of negative 6 squared, that's 36. I'm subtracting 4 times 9 times negative 11, or adding 396. That's all over 2 times 9, which is 18. 36 plus 396 is 432. So I end up with 6 plus or minus the square root of 432 over 18. Unfortunately, we're not done because the square root of 432 can be simplified. Because 432 is equal to 144 times 3, the square root of 432 is equal to 12 root 3. So simplifying square roots is an important part of being able to use the quadratic formula. So now I'm rewriting as 6 plus or minus 12 root 3 over 18. Now 6, 12, and 18 all have factors of 6. So I'm going to factor out 6, which gives me 1 plus or minus 2 root 3 on the top, and factor out 6 from 18 gives me a 3. The 6's cancel, and so finally I have the final solution here, 1 plus or minus 2 root 3 over 3. Wow! Two solutions, one has a plus and one has a minus. So there's two tricky parts to using the quadratic formula. One is memorizing it, and the other is simplifying the resulting expression, which requires simplifying a square root and a fraction. It's going to take a lot of practice to become proficient at using the quadratic formula.